Evan Stone lived a quiet and lonely life in a small town, far from anything exciting. He worked as a night security guard at an empty storage yard, watching the same old cameras every night. People around him did not notice him much, and he often felt like a ghost walking through his own world. But on this night, something happened that would change his life forever. The sky above the town felt strange. The air was cold, still, and heavy, as if something huge was about to arrive. Evan sat in his small security booth, drinking cheap instant coffee and staring at the dark road outside. He had no idea that the universe had already turned its eyes toward him. Around midnight, a bright flash cut across the sky like a burning sword. It was not a shooting star, not a plane, and not anything he had ever seen before. The light was silver and blue, moving fast, leaving a glowing trail behind it. Evan stood up from his chair so quickly that he spilled coffee on the desk. His heart began to beat fast as he stepped outside, trying to understand what he was seeing. The light grew larger and larger as it fell toward the earth. A loud boom shook the ground, like thunder exploding right under his feet. Birds flew out of the forest, screaming into the night sky. Evan grabbed his flashlight and ran toward the trees, guided by the fading trail of smoke. The deeper he went into the forest, the stranger the world felt. The air smelled like burning metal, and small sparks of blue light floated around him like fireflies from another world. His heartbeat echoed in his ears, faster and faster. He kept walking until he reached a small, empty clearing. And there, right in the middle of the clearing, he saw a crashed silver pod. It looked like a mix between a smooth egg and a machine. Shining even in the darkness, small cracks glowed bright blue on its surface, and steam rose into the air like breath from a giant creature. Evan stood perfectly still, too shocked to breathe. His mind told him to run, but his feet moved forward on their own. He slowly placed a hand on the pod, feeling the surface warm, like skin. The pod opened with a soft hiss inside. He saw something he never imagined he would see in his life. A woman, not human, but incredibly beautiful, lay inside the pod. Her skin was pale silver, her hair long and glowing like white fire. Her eyes slowly opened, shining blue like stars trapped in glass. Evan stepped back, unable to speak. The alien woman looked at him as if she already knew him. Her lips trembled as she spoke in a soft voice, a voice that felt both ancient and gentle. "Evan Stone, I finally found you," she whispered. Evan felt frozen in place. He could not understand how she knew his name. He tried to speak but only managed a shaky breath. Before he could ask anything, the woman's face changed, filled with fear. She looked behind him, toward the dark forest. "They are coming," she whispered. Her voice broke with panic. "Please, protect the child." Evan blinked in confusion. "What child?" he asked, his voice weak and shaking. The woman raised her trembling hand and pointed inside the pod. Evan leaned forward, his chest tight. There, wrapped in strange glowing cloth, was a tiny baby. The baby looked human, but its eyes were bright blue that glowed softly in the dark. A soft cry escaped from the child, small and innocent, yet carrying something powerful inside it. Evan felt warmth fill his chest as he looked at the baby, a strange feeling he could not explain, a feeling that he needed to protect this little life. But the moment did not last. A deep growl echoed from the trees. Branches snapped, footsteps approached, heavy and fast. The alien woman's body shook with fear. She pushed the baby gently toward Evan. "Take him," she whispered. "Run, Evan Stone. Run and do not look back." Evan grabbed the baby, holding him close, feeling the small child cling to his shirt. His hands shook, his mind raced. Nothing made sense. The forest roared again, louder this time. Blue eyes of unknown creatures flashed. Between the trees, the alien woman reached out and touched Evan's arm for the last time. "Forgive me," she said softly. "Forgive what I must do." Before Evan could ask anything, she closed the pod and stood between Evan and the approaching shadows. Her body glowed with silver light as she prepared to face the danger alone. Evan felt something rip inside his chest. He wanted to help her, to ask her who she was, why she knew his name, why she trusted him with the child. But he knew he had no time. The shadows jumped forward, and the woman screamed a battle cry that shook the trees. Evan turned and ran with the baby in his arms. The forest around him blurred as strange lights and roaring sounds echoed behind him. He did not know where he was going or what waited ahead. He only knew one thing with complete certainty. He had to protect the child, no matter who or what was coming for them. Evan ran through the forest with the baby in his arms. Branches scratched his arms, rocks slipped under his shoes, and cold night air cut through his lungs. But he did not slow down. Every roar behind him pushed him harder. Every flash of blue eyes in the dark reminded him that something dangerous was chasing them. The baby in his arms was quiet now. Almost too quiet. It only looked at Evan with those glowing blue eyes. The eyes were full of something strange, something old, something powerful. Evan felt the baby studying him, as if the child already knew who he was. It was frightening and comforting at the same time. He finally reached the road, breathing hard. The forest behind him shook with strange sounds. He could hear the alien woman fighting, her screams echoing like metal tearing apart. Evan wanted to run back and help her, but her final words repeated again and again in his head, "Protect the child." Evan unlocked his old truck and placed the baby carefully on the passenger seat. The baby reached for his shirt, refusing to let go, so he wrapped the baby in a blanket and held him close. Then he started the engine, which roared loudly in the silent night. With shaking hands, he drove away from the forest. The road was empty. No cars, no lights, only the moon watching from above. Evan kept looking at the rear-view mirror, afraid something would jump out behind him. But the road stayed empty. For now they were safe, or at least safer than the forest. After driving for a while, Evan stopped near an old abandoned cabin he used sometimes for camping. It was hidden in the trees, but far from the crash site. He carried the baby inside, locking the door, even though he knew a lock would not stop whatever was hunting them. Still, it gave him a small feeling of safety. And right now, he needed that. The baby looked around the cabin with curiosity. It touched the wooden chair, the dusty table, the dim lantern. Every time it touched something, a soft blue glow appeared for a moment. Evan swallowed nervously as he watched. This child was not normal, not simple, not ordinary at all. He sat down, holding the baby gently. His mind felt like a storm. Was that alien woman? Why did she know his name? Why give him the baby? Why leave him alone like that? His thoughts were interrupted when the baby suddenly reached toward the silver pod fragment he had unknowingly brought with him. It was a small piece that had broken off when the pod crashed. Evan did not even realize it was still in his pocket. The moment he placed it on the table, the baby touched it, and the cabin filled with light. A hologram appeared above the fragment. It was the alien woman, Solara. Her face looked calm, sad, and full of secrets. Evan's heart tightened. It felt like a message from another world. A message meant only for him. "Evan Stone," she said softly, her voice echoing around the room. "If you are seeing this, it means I can no longer stay by your side." Evan felt cold fear crawl inside him. He listened carefully as the woman continued. "You once saved my life long ago, though you do not remember it." Evan frowned, confused. "I came to Earth years before tonight, wounded and lost. It was you who found me. You helped me, protected me, and sent me back to the stars. But I left without saying thank you." The hologram flickered as Solara continued. "My people were dying. We needed human life energy to survive. I used a small sample of your energy to create a child that could live in both worlds. This baby is part human, part me." Evan stared at the child in his arms. Shock and disbelief hit him like a wave. This baby was created from him. It was not just a random alien child. It was connected to him in a way deeper than he could understand. Solara's hologram looked sadder than before. "There are enemies who want the child," she said. "They want the power inside him. They will never stop hunting him. And if I stay with you, they will kill us all." The hologram flickered again, becoming weaker. "You must protect him, Evan Stone. You are the only one who can. The child knows you. And he trusts you. He carries a part of your spirit." The message ended, and the cabin returned to darkness. Evan sat still, breathing slowly, staring at the baby. The child looked back at him with glowing blue eyes full of innocence and mystery. Evan felt something shift inside his heart. Not fear, not confusion, but something stronger, a promise. A responsibility. Outside, the forest shook again with distant roars. The hunters were still searching. They were getting closer. Evan held the baby close and whispered softly, "I don't know who I am supposed to be, but I will protect you." He stood up, ready to leave the cabin, ready to run again. But something deep inside him whispered that running would not be enough this time. He would have to fight. And he would have to learn why this baby was so important, and why the universe had chosen him, of all people, for this impossible mission. Evan opened the door into the cold night. The journey had only begun. The hologram of Solara glowed softly in the abandoned station. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried a deep sadness. Evan sat on the dusty floor with the baby in his arms, staring at her like she was a ghost from another world. The baby reached toward the hologram, as if he recognized her. Solara looked down at the child and smiled softly. Then she spoke, her voice quiet but filled with urgency. "Evan Stone, if you are watching this, I am no longer beside you." Evan felt a sharp pain in his chest as she continued, "You must not try to find me. You must focus only on the child. He is more important than you understand." Evan swallowed hard, gripping the baby a little tighter. The hologram flickered as Solara continued, "There are creatures hunting us. They can track my energy, and as long as I stay near you, they will never stop. I had to draw them away. It was the only way to give you and the child a chance to survive." Evan listened silently, but his heart felt heavy. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to accept her words, but something felt wrong. Like a hidden part of the truth was missing. Solara's glowing image reached toward him. "Evan Stone, you are not just the child's protector. You are connected to him. Your energy is mixed with his. He will respond to you as if you are the closest being he has." The hologram dimmed rapidly. Before it vanished, Solara whispered, "One final sentence. Forgive me for what I must do." Then the light shattered into the air like falling dust. The device dropped into the baby's blanket and turned dull. The room felt colder without her voice, more empty, more dangerous, more real. Evan stared at the baby, who gazed back with glowing eyes full of innocence. He felt a sudden wave of anger rise inside him. Why did Solara leave him? Why fight alone? Why sacrifice herself so easily? But before he could process his emotions, a loud crash shook the outside wall. Evan jumped up. Holding the baby close, the creature had returned. Its shadow slid across the broken window like a giant claw. Its growl was low and hungry, and this time it wasn't alone. Several glowing shapes moved outside, their blue outlines shifting like living smoke. Evan knew hiding wouldn't work again. They were searching more aggressively now. The child's ability to hide their presence wouldn't last forever. He grabbed his keys and ran toward the back door. The baby tightened his tiny fingers around Evan's shirt. Evan pushed through the door, slipping into the dark alley behind the station. The cold night air hit his face, waking his survival instinct. He ran behind the old car wash building, staying low. The creatures sniffed the air on the other side of the wall. Their voices were sharp, clicking like metal tapping against stone. Evan crouched, trying to stay silent, but his heart pounded loudly in his ears. Suddenly, the baby raised his hand again. A small pulse of blue energy spread through the air. This time it did not hide them, it pointed. A small glowing trail formed in front of Evan, leading deeper into the dark fields. as if the baby was showing him where to go. Evan didn't understand how, but he trusted the child and followed the glowing path. He sprinted through tall grass, dodging broken fences and old farm equipment. The creatures noticed the movement and let out a vicious howl. They lunged forward in pursuit. Evan pushed his legs harder, refusing to stop. The baby clung to him tightly, eyes glowing brighter with every second. Suddenly, the ground trembled under Evan's feet. A blue flash exploded in the sky above them. Evan turned for a brief moment and saw the impossible. Solara, glowing like a star, was fighting the creatures. Her body moved with speed and grace no human could match. Her hands burned with silver fire as she struck the hunters. She shouted something in her alien language. Her voice echoed through the night like thunder. Evan stopped running, shocked. She wasn't captured, not yet. She was fighting to keep the creatures away from him. But the moment he took one step toward her, everything changed. Solara suddenly stopped attacking. Her glowing hands lowered. Her body froze as if invisible chains wrapped around her. The largest creature stepped out from behind the others, a tall, monstrous figure with shifting armor-like skin. It raised one clawed hand. Solara bowed her head, surrendering without a fight. Evan's stomach twisted. She wasn't defeated. She was giving herself up. Why? Why surrender now? The creature grabbed her arm and dragged her toward a dark ship rising from the trees. Solara did not resist. Before stepping inside, she looked at Evan across the field. Her lips moved silently. Evan could read the words even from far away. Save the child. And then she was gone. The ship shot upward into the sky and vanished into the clouds, leaving Evan standing in the dark field, alone with the baby, and with a terrifying truth settling inside his chest like ice. Solara had not just sacrificed herself, she had betrayed him. But she did it for a reason he was not ready to understand. And now the child's fate rested in his hands alone. Evan stood alone in the silent field long after the alien ship disappeared into the clouds. The cold night wrapped around him like a heavy blanket. The baby shivered in his arms, glowing weakly with fading blue light. Evan held the child closer, trying to keep him warm. But his own heart felt frozen. Solara was gone, taken right in front of him, and she surrendered willingly. That thought cut through him like a knife. He walked back toward the old service station, every step heavy and slow. His legs felt weak. His mind crowded with questions. Why did she leave? Why give herself up? Why trust him with something so important? He was nobody, just a night guard with an empty life. But now the universe had placed something powerful in his hands. Something he did not understand. Back inside the abandoned station, the silence felt even deeper. Evan laid the baby on the blanket and sat on the floor beside him. The child looked up at him, eyes glowing softly in the dark. There was sadness in those eyes, as if the baby sensed Solara's absence. Evan felt his chest tighten. He reached out and gently touched the baby's hand. "It's okay," he whispered, even though he wasn't sure it was true. "I'm here." As soon as his fingers touched the baby, the silver device inside the blanket lit up again. The room filled with a soft blue glow. Dust in the air twisted into spirals of light. Evan sat up straight, startled. The device hovered above the baby, spinning slowly. Then a beam of light shot upward and formed the image of a woman. Solara appeared again, but this time her expression was different. Her eyes were sharp, serious, and full of urgency. "Evan Stone," she said, her voice steady. "If you are watching this second message, it means the situation has become worse." Evan leaned forward, hands shaking. He listened carefully, afraid to miss a single word. "I need you to understand something important," Solara continued. "The hunters are not chasing me. They are chasing the child." Evan felt his stomach twist. He looked at the baby, who now watched the hologram quietly. Solara's voice grew softer, almost emotional. "I did not want to create him in fear, but I had no choice." The hologram flickered, but stabilized quickly. "You once saved me," Solara said. "In a way you do not remember. You saw me not as a creature, not as a stranger, but as someone needing help. You carried me when I was too weak to walk. You gave me shelter and kindness." Evan's breath caught in his chest. He had no memory of this. When did it happen? How? Solara continued, "My people were dying. Our planet was collapsing under war and disease. We searched the stars for help but found only more enemies. I came to Earth seeking peace and found you instead. Your energy, your compassion, was stronger than anything I had seen." The hologram dimmed for a moment, then sharpened again. "I used a fragment of your life energy," she said quietly. "I used it to create a child who could survive both my world and yours. A child with the power to heal, to adapt, to fight." Evan felt a chill run through him. He wasn't just protecting the baby. He was connected to him, part of him. "Lived in this child." Solara's voice grew urgent again. "The hunters want the child because he carries something rare. Something they call the Star Core. It is energy capable of destroying or saving entire worlds. If they get him, everything will fall." Veen stared at the baby in disbelief. This tiny child carried something so powerful. Something the universe fought over, and Solara had left him as the guardian. The hologram moved closer, as if trying to speak directly to Evan. "I surrendered myself to buy you time," she said. "I knew they would stop chasing you if they captured me. I knew they would take me instead. I made a deal to protect you." Evan felt anger rise inside him. "Why me?" he whispered under his breath. "Why put this on me?" As if she heard him, the hologram spoke again. "Because you are stronger than you believe. You may not see it, but the universe sees it, and the child sees it too." The hologram flickered violently now, breaking apart like thin glass. Solara's final words echoed softly in the room. "Trust the child, Evan Stone. He will guide you when you feel lost. And remember this. I did not abandon you. I chose you." The hologram shattered into tiny blue sparks and faded away. The station became dark and silent once more. Evan stared into the emptiness, heart heavy and confused. The baby reached up and touched Evan's face with a tiny glowing hand. Warmth spread through his skin, calming his racing thoughts. Evan held the baby close and whispered softly, "All right. I'll protect you." Outside, the distant forest rumbled again. "The hunters want the child because he carries something rare. Something they call the Star Core. It is energy capable of destroying or saving entire worlds. If they get him, everything will fall." Evan stared at the baby in disbelief. This tiny child carried something so powerful. Something the universe fought over, and Solara had left him as the guardian. The hologram moved closer, as if trying to speak directly to Evan. "I surrendered myself to buy you time," she said. "I knew they would stop chasing you if they captured me. I knew they would take me instead. I made a deal to protect you." Evan felt anger rise inside him. "Why me?" he whispered under his breath. "Why put this on me?" As if she heard him, the hologram spoke again. "Because you are stronger than you believe. You may not see it, but the universe sees it. And the child sees it too." The hologram flickered violently now, breaking apart like thin glass. Solara's final words echoed softly in the room. "Trust the child, Evan Stone. He will guide you when you feel lost. And remember this. I did not abandon you. I chose you." The hologram shattered into tiny blue sparks and faded away. The station became dark and silent once more. Evan stared into the emptiness, heart heavy and confused. The baby reached up and touched Evan's face with a tiny glowing hand. Warmth spread through his skin, calming his racing thoughts. Evan held the baby close and whispered softly, "All right. I'll protect you." Outside, the distant forest rumbled again. The hunters were not gone. They were regrouping, growing restless, preparing their next move. Evan knew staying here was no longer safe. He had to keep moving. He had to keep the baby alive. For the first time, Evan did not feel like a nobody. He felt like someone chosen by fate, someone standing between the child and the darkness of the universe. And he would not fail, not now, not ever. Asterisk. The night around the old station had gone silent again, but Evan could feel the danger hiding in that silence. It felt like the whole world was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. He packed the blanket, grabbed the strange silver device, and held the baby close. The baby watched him with glowing, calm eyes, as if he already knew what was coming. "I know, little guy," Evan whispered. "We can't stay here." He stepped outside into the cold darkness. Everything felt sharper, louder, heavier. Even the wind carried a strange energy. Evan walked quickly toward his truck, but the moment he touched the door handle, the baby tensed in his arms. A soft glow appeared around the child. Pulsing like a heartbeat, Evan froze. The baby only reacted like this when danger was close. Too close. He slowly looked toward the forest. At first he saw nothing. Then a chilling shape moved between the trees, a tall creature with long arms and glowing blue markings on its skin. Its head twisted unnaturally as it sniffed the air. It had found their scent. It was hunting. Evan didn't think twice. He ran, holding the baby tightly. He left the truck behind and sprinted into the open fields. Grass slapped against his legs, the ground uneven beneath his feet. But he didn't stop. He didn't look back, not even. Once, the creatures burst from the trees. 3 of them this time. Their bodies moved like smoke and shadow. Their claws scraped against the earth as they ran. Their voices a mix of growls and metal screeches. Evan could hear them gaining speed. They were faster, stronger, and built to chase. The baby suddenly lifted his tiny hand. A thin blue beam shot from his palm and pointed to the far side of the field, as if he was guiding Evan. Evan didn't understand how, but he trusted the baby completely now. He changed direction and ran toward an old grain silo, its metal walls rusty and half broken. But maybe it could hide them or slow down the hunters. Evan pushed through the broken door and slipped inside. Inside was darkness, dust, and old machinery. He hid behind a fallen ladder, clutching the baby tightly against his chest. He forced his breathing to slow. He listened. Every sound felt like it stabbed through the silence. Moments later, the creatures arrived. Their silhouettes blocked the moonlight at the doorway. Their growls echoed inside the metal structure. Evan held his breath. He thought he was safe for a moment, but then the child glowed again, stronger than before. The glow reflected off the metal walls, a faint shimmer. But enough. A creature sniffed the air and hissed loudly. It moved deeper inside. Evan's heart pounded so hard he feared the creatures could hear it. He pressed his back against the cold metal wall, trying to become invisible, but it didn't matter. The baby was reacting again, not in fear, but in warning. The creature lunged forward, claws ready to strike. Evan rolled away, hitting the ground hard. He shielded the baby with his body as the creature smashed into the wall, sending metal pieces flying. Evan crawled toward the exit, dragging himself across the dirt. He didn't care about pain now, only survival outside. He stumbled to his feet and ran again. The hunters burst out behind him. Their roars shook the dark night. One creature leaped, ready to tear him apart. Evan braced for impact, but the baby lifted both hands this time. A sudden wave of blue energy exploded outward. Like a shockwave, it threw the creature backward, slamming it into a fence post. Evan stared in disbelief. What are you?" he whispered breathlessly. The baby looked at him with glowing eyes full of innocence. But behind that innocence was power. Power Evan did not understand. He ran toward a road that led to the old industrial district. Tall rusted factories stood like abandoned giants. They could hide here, at least for a moment. Evan ducked inside a crumbling warehouse. A broken forklift, shattered glass, and dark shadows filled the space. He hid behind a stack of crates, breathing hard. The baby leaned his head against Evan's chest, tired from releasing so much energy. Evan stroked his head gently. "It's okay," he whispered. "You saved us." But the moment of safety ended quickly. A new sound echoed through the warehouse. Not a growl, not claws, but footsteps, human footsteps. Evan peered through the crates. A man holding a flashlight walked inside. He wore a thick jacket and military boots. He scanned the darkness with calm movements, not scared like a normal person, more like he knew what he was searching for. Evan held the baby close and stayed silent, but the man suddenly spoke in a low, steady voice. "You can come out, Evan Stone." Evan froze. His name. The stranger knew his name. The man raised his flashlight, revealing a serious face marked by scars. "I'm not your enemy," he said slowly. "I'm here to help you." And the child? Evan didn't move. He didn't trust him. Not yet. Not after everything he had seen. The man took one step closer. "The real war hasn't even started," he whispered. "And you're in the center of it." And with those words, Evan realized his world was about to get even darker, even bigger, and far more dangerous than he ever imagined. Evan stayed hidden behind the crates, his body tense, his grip tightening around the baby. The stranger stood in the open, calm and steady. His flashlight pointed toward the floor, not toward Evan. He didn't look afraid of the hunters outside. He looked like someone who had seen them before, too many times. "My name is Rylan," the man said quietly. "I'm part of a group that has been watching the skies for years. We know about the aliens, the hunters, and the one they captured." Evan's heart jumped at the last words. "Solara," Rylan took another slow step forward. "We're here to protect humans and anyone the hunters chase." Evan didn't move. He didn't trust Isley anymore, not after everything that had happened tonight. But the baby looked at Rylan with calm, glowing eyes, and for some reason, the child didn't react with fear. That was the only reason Evan finally whispered back, "What do you want with us?" Rylan lowered his flashlight completely. "We want to help you survive," he replied. "And we want to protect the child." Evan stepped out slowly, still holding the baby. Rylan didn't reach for a weapon. Instead, he nodded at the baby with a surprising softness. "He's special," Rylan said, "and dangerous. If the wrong hands take him." Snow began to fall through the broken warehouse roof, soft flakes drifting down like silent ash. Rylan looked up toward the sky as if expecting the hunters to return. "They're regrouping," he said. "You don't have much time." He motioned toward the exit on the far side of the warehouse. "Follow me," he whispered. "We have a safe place nearby." Evan hesitated once more. Every instinct told him not to trust strangers. But the baby touched Evan's chest again with a warm glow, as if encouraging him, as if telling him this was the right choice. Evan finally nodded. "All right," he said softly. "Lead the way." Rylan guided them through dark alleys and broken roads. He moved like he knew every shadow, every escape path. Evan followed close behind. The baby rested against his shoulder, eyes half closed but alert in some quiet, mysterious way. They reached a hidden trapdoor under an old delivery truck. Rylan pulled it open and climbed down first. Evan followed carefully, holding the baby tightly. Below was a long tunnel lit with dim orange lights. Warm air carried a faint smell of machinery and metal. It felt strangely safe, strangely human. At the end of the tunnel, a large steel door opened. 5 people stood inside a wide underground bunker. They weren't soldiers. They weren't government agents. They looked like normal people wearing simple gear: mechanics, engineers, old veterans and survivalists. But every one of them carried tired eyes that had seen too much. "This is the haven," Rylan said. "These people fight to keep Earth safe from threats no one else believes in. Welcome." The group gathered around Evan and the child. A woman with gray hair stepped forward. She had warm eyes and a gentle presence. "What is his name?" she asked softly. Evan swallowed. I don't know," he admitted. The woman smiled at the child. "Then we will help you find one." Evan followed Rylan into another room filled with screens, maps, alien symbols, and strange metal fragments. It felt like a hidden command center for a war no one knew about. Rylan pointed at a screen showing the hunters moving through the forest. "They won't stop," he said. "They want the power inside the child." Evan clenched his fists. "Then teach me how to fight." he said firmly. Rylan raised an eyebrow, impressed. "You're ready for that?" "I have to be," Evan replied. "He needs me." Training began almost immediately. Raylan showed Evan how to handle basic weapons, how to move quietly, how to avoid alien sensors. Evan wasn't strong or skilled at first. He stumbled, fell, missed targets, and got tired quickly. But he kept getting back up. Every time he saw the baby watching him with glowing eyes, he felt strength returning, as if the child believed in him completely. The others taught him survival basics. How to detect alien tracks, how to shield heat signatures, how to hide energy signals. The baby occasionally released soft pulses of blue light when Evan struggled. Those pulses seemed to heal bruises, calm his breathing, and clear his mind. The others watched in awe. "That child is a miracle," one whispered. "A miracle." "And a weapon," another replied. Evan ignored the whispers. He focused only on getting stronger, faster, smarter. For the first time in his life, he felt like he mattered, like he had a purpose. A reason to stand up and fight. That night, after hours of training, Evan sat beside the sleeping baby. He whispered gently, "I don't care what you are. I don't care how powerful you become. You're not alone. I'll protect you. And I'll find Solara." But far above the bunker, in the dark sky, something moved, something huge, something watching. A shadowed ship with glowing symbols drifted silently through the clouds. The hunters had found the haven, and the real war was about to begin. Evan woke to the sound of alarms echoing through the underground bunker. Red lights flashed across the metal walls, painting everything in a warning glow. The air shook with the rumble of something massive above them. He grabbed the baby instantly, holding him tight against his chest. The child opened his glowing blue eyes, already sensing the danger. Raylan sprinted into the room with urgency. "They found us," he said breathlessly. "The hunters are here." Evan felt his heart tighten. But he didn't panic. He had trained for this. He wasn't the same man who ran blindly through the forest anymore. The bunker shook again as dust fell from the ceiling. "We're moving everyone to the east tunnels," Rylan said. "But they're coming fast." Evan followed him out, gripping the baby close, running past frightened faces and hurried footsteps. People grabbed weapons, tools, anything they could carry. The haven was no longer hidden. It was under siege when they reached the main chamber. The ground trembled violently. A loud metallic screech came from above. Raylan pointed at the ceiling. "They're cutting through the soil and metal. We need to hold them back." Evan stepped forward without hesitation. "I'll help," he said. Rylan nodded. "You're ready," he replied. "Just stay close to the child." Evan handed the baby to the older woman from before. Her arms were steady, her expression full of determination. "I'll keep him safe," she promised. Evan took a deep breath and picked up a weapon. It felt familiar now, like something he was meant to hold. The ceiling cracked open with a thunderous roar. A burst of blue sparks showered the chamber. 3 hunters dropped into the bunker like falling shadows. Tall, silent, deadly. Their glowing markings lit the room in eerie blue light. Raylan fired first. The blast hit the nearest hunter and pushed it back, but it rose again instantly, unharmed. Evan ducked behind a pillar as one creature charged toward him. He aimed and fired. The shot hit the creature's arm, leaving a burning mark, not enough to kill, but enough to slow it. The hunters moved fast, too fast. Rylan shouted orders. The team spread out, trying to surround the enemy, but the creatures were stronger, ruthless, hunting with purpose. The purpose was the child. Evan knew it, and the baby knew it too. A loud rumble shook the chamber again, this time from above, but not from the hunters. A deep humming sound filled the air, vibrating through the metal walls. Evan looked up with confusion. "What now?" he whispered. The ceiling exploded inward, but not from claws. A bright silver light broke through the dust. A ship descended, glowing like a fallen star. The hunters froze, recognizing the vessel instantly. Rylan shouted, "Everyone move back!" The Ship landed gently, almost peacefully. Its door opened with a hiss, silver light spilled out like liquid, and then she stepped through. Solara, her silver skin shimmered, her white fire hair flowing behind her, but she was changed. Her eyes glowed. Brighter. Filled with something fierce and wounded, she looked stronger and more dangerous. Evan's breath caught in his throat. The baby let out a soft cry, reaching toward her. Solara stepped forward. Her eyes finding Evan instantly. There was sadness in them and relief and guilt. The hunters growled, preparing to attack her. Solara raised her hand. A wave of silver energy blasted outward, smashing 2 hunters into the far wall. The third lunged at her, but she moved like light itself. Her hand sliced through the air, sending the creature crashing backward. The haven fell into silence for a moment. Everyone stared at her, at the alien woman who had returned with impossible strength. Solara turned to Evan, her voice soft. "Evan Stone," she whispered. "You kept him safe." Evan stepped forward, anger and confusion twisting inside him. "Why did you surrender?" he demanded. "Why leave us?" Solara lowered her gaze. "Because they made a deal," she said quietly. "They said they would spare you. If I went with them, I had no choice." Before Evan could respond, the ground shook again. From the shadows at the edge of the chamber, a massive figure stepped out, the leader of the hunters, taller than the others, wrapped in shifting armor. Its voice echoed like breaking stone. "Give us the child." Solara moved in front of Evan instantly. "No," she said firmly. "You will not touch them." The creature tilted its head. "You cannot stop us," it growled. "We will. Take what belongs to us." Solara's energy flared. Evan stepped beside her, weapon ready. Raylan and the Haven fighters formed a line behind them. For the first time, Evan didn't feel small. He didn't feel weak, he felt human, and humans didn't bow to monsters. Solara looked at Evan, her voice quiet but steady. "You must choose," she said. "Run with the child, or fight with me." The chamber filled with silence. The hunters prepared to attack again. The baby's eyes glowed bright, sensing the coming storm. And Evan realized the truth. This fight was only the beginning. The universe had opened its doors. And he was standing at the center of a war far bigger than anything he ever imagined. The final clash was coming, and the fate of the child, and the fate of worlds, rested in the choice he made next.